Hi there, and welcome to the Homestead Education Podcast. Do you have a homestead, a farm, or maybe just believe we have a right to the freedom of wholesome food? This is a show for families who believe everyone deserves an agricultural education to understand their food, land, and responsibility at a scale that fits real life. I'm your host, Cody Hanner. I'm a homesteader, a homeschool mom of 6, and an agricultural educator who spent years teaching families how to build real skills outside of broken systems. I was raised by an old school rancher and blessed by the grace of God to have been shaped by small town life, where food, work, and responsibility weren't dreams, they were just how you lived. This season, we're digging into how accessible small-scale agricultural education can build capable people, strengthen local food systems, and create meaningful change far beyond the homestead. Join me each week as we talk about food systems, education, and the real-world skills every generation needs, taught in ways that actually make sense. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Homestead Education Podcast. Today, I have Alex and Ashley Johnson from Rustic Homestead Living on. They are some great friends of mine, and I can't wait to share with you what they have going on next. So welcome, guys.
Hi.
So tell us a little bit about Rustic Homestead Living and you guys and whatever you want to share.
Well, it's kind of been a long adventure that we've had. So we started out doing just kind of some basic products, homestead stuff, and then we've switched into doing preparedness and actually teaching other homesteaders how to become more prepared. So it's been a long adventure and kind of finding the right path for us and who we want to talk to and making sure that we're getting the information out there that people actually need to know. And that's where we want people to be prepared for the future.
I love that. I've had a lady on my podcast before who she teaches about preparedness for single people. And I thought, that's such a, outside the box idea because, you don't always think about the fact that you might be by yourself when you need to be prepared. But then I was like, I want to hear what you guys have to say because, I have a family of 8. How do we actually be prepared as a family this large? And you guys have a similar size family, right?
Yeah, we have 5 kids ranging from 15 down to our youngest is 1, almost 2. And so even within that age range, there's different needs for each kid. And we've had to adapt, whether it's your 72-hour bag or getting out and going somewhere. We just made a trip and it's like everybody's needs were totally different and stuff. And so packing each person's bag, you have to have each person's needs in mind. You can't just look at a blanket 72-hour list and go, I'm going to throw all this stuff in the bag and then it's ready to go, because I can't throw pull-ups in my teenager's bag. He's not going to appreciate that, but my youngest needs them. So being aware of each person's needs and creating customized bags, customized lists so that you know what you're needing and what you need to rotate and stuff is a good thing to have.
Yeah, I mean, I have to pack a suitcase just to run to the grocery store, like let alone if we actually had something happen. So,
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about your guys' homestead background and what kind of led you into this preparedness.
So it actually started, we had been married for 1 month and I get a phone call and he's like, I've been laid off. I'll be home in a little bit. Love you, bye. And I didn't even get to say anything on that phone call. I was like, what the heck? And so he comes home and it actually took him a few hours to get home because they had to pack up his office and everything. And it's like, we have no food storage. We'd only been married a month. We had nothing. It was kind of scary going, how are we going to make the house payment? How are we going to do all this? And so the very first thing we did was we had a family member who had given us some food from their food storage to kind of get us going. And then we took his severance and everything, and we went and stocked up as much food as we could. And yeah, it kind of started there. It was like, you need food storage. A lot of people think of emergency preparedness as a disaster, a natural disaster. But it can be as simple as losing your job. What happens when you lose a job? You have nothing.
Yeah. I've had people say to me before, like, oh, you guys are crazy preppers or conspiracy theorists or whatever. And I was like, we lost power for over a week last year. And 2 of those days, the roads were so bad. Like, if we didn't have 4-wheel drive, there would have been no, leaving the house.
Yeah.
So it's not being an emergency conspiracy theorist. It's literally just understanding that America is primarily rural and there's snow.
Yeah. We see um, like people just they'll gather up the food and it just sits there on the shelf. And so for us, it was like, what can we do to teach people to actually use what they have and actually change that mindset of, well, I'm gonna stock 50 cans of something and actually move it into I eat this food every day. And so I rotate through my food. There's no going bad or anything like that because you're using it consistently.
All right, so you were talking about rotating your food and actually like having what you eat. So what are you like what do you guys do with that? Like what do you mean by that?
So instead of going out and buying 500 tons of freeze-dried food, it's going out and buying, instead of one can of green beans, it's buying two or a box full in a case, and then actually using those through. And then when you get close to that one, you buy another case, and figuring out kind of how much your family is actively using over a month or 6 months. And then over time, you can keep adding more so that if something happens, you don't have to run to the store that week. You can just use what you already have on your shelf. But it's things you'll actually eat and use.
So like we don't stock anything that we don't use. Um, Even like the canned chicken that we get occasionally. Um, we stock some, but we only stock what we're going to rotate through. And we don't use it on a daily basis, but it's like, hey, if we go to a farmer's market or whatever, we tend to pack our own lunches. And so we will actually make a meal with a chicken salad and use the canned chicken so that it gets used up. Um, and we've created a rotation system for our family that's working. And it's taken us 15, 16 years to actually figure out what works for us. But now that we figured it out, we don't have food that goes bad on our shelves anymore because it's always fresh rotation for our family.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, I've definitely, so for example, I prefer canned beans over dried ones. But man, if I do see a bag of like 50-pound bag of dried beans, I'm not gonna like not pick it up.
Yeah. Well, and the nice thing is if you have, um, the canning supplies and stuff, if you can your own food already, you pick up a can of or a bag of dried beans and then you turn it into canned beans yourself, and you can do it for a fraction of the cost. And then you still have your canned beans sitting on the shelf ready to go when you need it for dinner.
There you go. So what do you do like, are you doing the same thing with like your freezers or is this just your pantry?
We've started doing some of the same things with the freezers, but we're pretty limited on what we can stock in the freezer for right now. Like we go to the store and come back from a Costco run and the fridge is a little packed. But
And I'm
when we
always
can, we
thankful that
try
we
and
have
store it.
extras.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when you live out and you're not right in town and it's more than a 15-minute drive to get somewhere, then it's not worth the gas cost, especially with the rising prices. That takes extra cost right out of your food budget if you have to make two, three, 4 trips a week to store. So
Absolutely. We plan our grocery shopping for a week at a time.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So well, we tend to make one, maybe two runs a week because you have what's on your shelf and you learn how to use it.
So does this pertain to like other stuff too, like your medical supplies?
Yeah, to
Pretty,
some extent.
pretty much everything. So, like one of the things that we did probably about middle of last year was we set up a subscribe and save on Amazon for 5 low-cost items. So we had like Q-tips and your toothbrushes and things like that. And so you'd get one every single month. And it was,
Mm-hmm.
like $20. It wasn't a huge cost, but now I have a stocked up supply of like your Q-tips. And so then we pull one in and we order one more. So we have a rotation going that keeps all that stuff good, but we still have extras of those things sitting on the shelf. And same with like, your band-aids and other supplies.
I like that. We have a small $300 credit card, and that's my Amazon subscribe and save card. Like that's, we get our toilet paper and paper towels there, but then yeah, I do kind of that same thing where I plug in different things that we need at as much as I can afford, and then I rotate it for the next month.
Yeah. When people think, oh, well, I'm going to stock, a year or 2 or 3 years worth of toilet paper, it's like toilet paper does disintegrate eventually, so you have to
Right?
keep it rotated.
I know. It always made me laugh with the COVID thing where people are stocking up on toilet paper. I was like, it's not that dire.
No.
And toilet paper is not even something a lot of people don't understand this, but toilet paper doesn't come from outside of the U.S. 99% of toilet paper is made right here in the U.S. My brother actually was a manager of a paper plant when COVID happened, and he said they actually had to add on to their facility because the stores weren't taking the toilet paper. They would not buy it from them, even though they had an overstock, but they couldn't shut the machines down because it costs more to shut them down and start them back up over and over again than it did to keep running. So people need to realize where their supplies come from and knowing where their food comes from, where their paper products come from, things like that. And it creates less panic when you have a knowledge of it. And that's one of the big things that we want is we want people to have knowledge. And so we're working on teaching more classes and stuff and getting the preparedness binder into people's hands, because when you have that knowledge and when you have a list so that you're organized, then you don't have that panic at all. You can work through things, you know what you're missing, what you need to get, and what you have already on hand.
So I heard you mention a preparedness binder. So what's that?
So we have it's a standard binder here, and it has in it your different pages. So we go over things like your basic household information, emergency contact, putting together emergency documents. You need to have all of your critical documents, copies of driver's licenses, birth certificates, and everything in a bag and in a safe, somewhere that's safe but easy to grab and go if there was ever a fire or another natural disaster, depending upon where you live. We talk about your ready, set, go and the different stages of that. We go over radio communications and licensing. We do 72-hour kits, and each of the, like your 72-hour kits and stuff, they have a customizable checklist for you and your family. We go over a car tote or a bag, depending upon, so kind of like your 72-hour kit, but if you're away from home when an emergency happens, you need to have something in your car, a little bit of food, blankets, things like that. And then we go over the long-term food storage and rotating that and stuff and how to build it. So, but it has checklists in there so that you can easily organize your stuff and know what you have and how much.
Awesome. So, okay, when you teach your classes or like on your list, what type of things would go into like my 72-hour kit? Like just for me, like not all 8 of us.
Okay. So obviously you're going to want some extra sets of clothing. Let me go over that list just a little bit. So your
Yeah.
clothing, you've got any time of the year, you're going to want a jacket or sweatshirt, something to keep you warm, especially at night, shirts, pants, underclothing, socks, shoes, and a rain poncho. And our thing that we really try and teach people is you need to be pulling those 72-hour bags out every 6 months and rotating your clothing. You don't want to get stuck in 100-degree weather with nothing but sweats, and you don't want to get stuck in the snow with nothing but shorts. So making sure you have the appropriate clothing in there. Shelter, not always viable to pack a whole, camping set, tent and stuff, but you can always get one of the little, what are they?
Your little emergency bivvies is what they're considered.
Yeah.
They're kind of like a glorified poncho to some extent, but they'll usually like hang over a rope, hang over a tree. You can wrap yourself in them, and they're probably about fits in the palm of your hand, but it at least allows you to have some kind of protection from the elements and keep warm.
Go over the different food and drink things, first aid, hygiene kits, different gear things you need. So if you're in bear country, I know that you're kind of up where there have been reports where there's bears lately, and so having bear spray out there.
We have more than reports.
Yeah, I'm not there, so I haven't seen them, but having hatchet and fire starter and stuff like that. And then for you, in the women out there, feminine hygiene is important, and a lot of people don't think about that.
Yes.
Because you get stuck out there during your time of the month, and that's not going to be fun if you don't have anything with you. So those are definitely some of the criticals, and we have lists divided into sections and stuff where people can go, yes, this is my needs and stuff.
You know what? Actually, on the note of the feminine hygiene products, my dad was a hunting guide and like would pack into the mountains with his horses, and he would always bring those for blood stop.
Yeah.
We had a dog get shot one time, a tampon stopped it.
Yeah. There's other purposes for it too, but yeah,
Hmm.
it's all important to have with you, and a lot of people just don't know where to start. When we first started putting together our 72-hour bags, and you jump on Pinterest or you jump on wherever, and it's really overwhelming because everybody has a different list, and that's
Yeah.
great that everybody's coming up with different ideas based on their needs.
Well, and
But
you're going to have a different list based on if you live, like you said, in bear country
yeah,
versus if I'm in an urban area.
exactly. Yeah. Well, and not just that, but the disasters that you deal with. Up here we deal with fire. Like
Hmm.
we when we moved here, we actually ended up having to drive right through the middle of a wildfire. It was kind of
Mm.
scary. They had the freeway down to one lane, and we had to drive a moving truck and a suburban through the middle of the flames, and my kids were in a panic and stuff. So the one thing with
That's
kids
so
that we talk
scary.
about is having a comfort item with them, having a stuffed animal or a blanket or something that brings them comfort in those 72-hour bags, because kids panic really easy. And so just keeping them safe and secure in a situation that they're not used to.
So do you focus on more of the short term, like emergency preparedness binder or emergency preparedness, or are you also looking at like long term preparedness?
Both.
It is very much both because a lot of people look at it as well. If I can survive, the next 72 hours, but really it comes down to what do I need to do for the first hour? So what am I grabbing? What am I getting ready to go with? For the first 72 hours, how am I keeping, food? Where are we going to stay? What's going to keep us sheltered? And then for the long term is kind of your everyday living where you need to have things like the long-term food storage and where you're actually stocking up because not every emergency says grab your stuff and leave the house. It says stay home and be protected at home.
Yeah,
And that's where, like, a lot of people panicked during COVID because no one had anything. And so, like, we walked into the store, and I was actually just reading one of our older blog articles this morning as I was talking to a lady, and she's like, what do I do to make cloth pads? I need something reusable. And I'm grateful that I had switched to all reusable products for myself at that point in time, because we walked into the store and here's a mom and her two daughters, and she's like, do you guys need anything? And both of the girls just looked panicked. The shelves were empty. There was very few boxes or bags sitting on the shelf of feminine hygiene products. And I don't want my kids to ever feel like that. But I remember
hmm
even the food shelves,
Yeah.
people panic bought, and the kids are just like, well, what are we going to eat? And at the time, we
that
didn't have.
anxiety of not knowing how to take care of themselves because it's not just what you have, it's knowing how to do it.
Absolutely. And that's the other thing that we want to teach is we want to teach people how to do things, how to use that food storage and stuff. And we're actually working on coming up with both a cookbook in the future and the classes on how to use the food directly from your pantry, not running to the store all the time. I remember the first probably year we were married, we lived right next to the grocery store, and it was like every night, every other night, we were running to the grocery store. It was like, oh, we need, a pack of meat. Okay, it's right there. And now it's like, oh, well, we have to figure out how to fix things using what we have off the shelf. I don't have time to go to the grocery store.
Hmm.
So we do. We want to teach people the long term skills, and we want to teach them how to be prepared in the short term.
That's awesome. One of the things that always, the conversations I've had where people who are looking into preparedness, they also start talking about, oh, I have, 20 years worth of freeze dried whatever. And it's like, that's all well and good, but what about fresh foods, fresh meats, or, what if something contaminates your long-term storage? Like, do you talk any about that?
Well, we have over some of the articles that we've written actually, because there are times, and her mom was actually, kind of the one that started that one with we need to do something different than what her mom did because her mom used to store the food and it would get to a point where great you've got bags of freeze dried carrots and all and there were a few different instances where the freeze dried food either went bad, it sat long enough that it just wasn't good, or
Hmm.
it had animals get into it, and so then your food storage goes from I got a year on the shelf to I have nothing instantly because it hasn't been looked at. And it's just kind of a lot of people, they go, well, it's freeze dried, so I'll just let it sit there on the shelf. I never want to use it. But really, that's where the biggest problem comes in to having, unless you have a freeze dryer and can make it yourself, having, a generic brand of freeze dried food, it ends up just sitting there on the shelf. You're like, I don't want to open that because it's already freeze dried. It's stable. But then because you're not rotating it, you're never checking it, and the animals get into it, and you don't know until it's too late to actually do anything about.
People, the other thing is a lot of people will get like your Rubbermaid totes or those big black and yellow ones that you can get at Costco, and they'll stick their food storage in it, bags, Mylar bags, and whatnot. And this is the thing that we were always told: the mice and rats won't chew through Mylar bags. They don't like the taste of it. It's off-putting to them. And we learned the hard way growing up that they will. They don't care. And it was like, no matter how many totes you put them in, it doesn't stop them. They'll chew through the plastic. And so storing things long term in metal cans and stuff in the Mylar bags, but then putting them in metal cans, the mice aren't going to chew through a metal can. So we learned the hard way, and it was a good learning experience for me. It was a hard learning experience, but it was a good one. But yeah, and the other thing is a lot of people will go buy, there's big name brands out there of your emergency food storage, but we have food intolerances in our family, and so most of those don't work.
Well, and also the cost for volume on that stuff.
Absolutely.
They're insanely expensive.
A lot of them taste like cardboard. I mean, we tried one a few years ago, and the macaroni and cheese, you might as well have been just eating a box of cardboard. I don't know that it had any nutritional value, but it didn't have any, flavor value to it. So, having the ability to make your own stuff and keeping it in, like, if I want to make mac and cheese, I've got pasta noodles. I can buy, your powdered cheeses. They may not be the best, but it's probably better than a lot of the stuff that you get because there's more fillers and stuff, the more ingredients it has. But learning how to cook from scratch from the things you have is really important.
Absolutely. And I think that there's a huge gap in understanding how to cook with whole foods. I mean, everybody, on bigger picture, they expect everything to be packaged, where we have almost nothing packaged. And I mean, we have stuff packaged in our home. I'm not on that high horse, but I can easily be like, I can make an entire meal out of these random ingredients, where I think like the American diet is so stuck on it has to look a certain way to be palatable, or that I think that teaching people this like what to do with the food they actually have is really important.
It is, and it's, people will stock up things going, well, I can only make these few things with it. And I used to joke with the kids, and I still do occasionally, that some of the best meals that they eat are the ones that I consider slop. It's like I picked 5 things off the shelf and threw it together, and they were totally excited that it was something new and they could eat it.
Right, we call it struggle meals.
And here's the other thing. One of the things that we started doing was we started getting rid of your multiple ingredient products. So a bottle of ketchup is a bottle of ketchup. I can eat it as ketchup, but a can of tomato paste, I can turn into a thing of ketchup. I can turn it into barbecue sauce. I can make spaghetti. There are so many more things that I can do with that. And so we started stocking single ingredient based products, and we started making our own. We've got a seasoning mix that's an Italian type for pizza and pasta, and I just made our own pizza sauce the other day, and the kids absolutely loved it and stuff. So that one can of tomato paste, it was used for something that I couldn't have used a can of or a bottle of ketchup for. So yeah, we want people to know how to use those ingredients, not just have them, because that's the other part is a lot of people get stuck on the buy 10 of these, but I don't know how to use it anymore. And so we're working on putting together some classes. I know in the past we've done a sourdough class. We're getting ready to do a demo down at the Gather and Grow Market here at the Kootenai County Fairgrounds this Friday and Saturday.
I know, I'm so bummed I'm gonna miss that.
Yeah, he'll be doing the demo at I think 2:30 on Saturday. and we're going to be going over, he's going to do the emergency binder and show people kind of how to put it together, the things that you need and stuff, but and go over things like that, like knowing how to take your long-term food storage, use it, rotating your food storage, rotating your paper products, whatever it might be that you use, rotate it and keep using it so that you know that things are fresh and still in good shape too.
Well,
So go ahead.
the big thing for like this weekend's teaching and what we've been really trying to get people to realize is that you need a written plan.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just in somebody's head, because if I'm the only one that knows the plan of how to get out of here, then if I'm not here and something happens, then everyone else is on their own and they don't know what to do and the kids are panicked. So it's getting it out of your head and writing it down, having that physical, I've written down everything, here's the plan, all the kids have a task to do, because even the 3-year-old can grab his bag and take it out to the car or something. There's things that they can help with that helps them not be panicked.
Well, and plus in the moment, if it's like an extreme emergency situation, you're panicked. You don't need to be trying to remember it all. You need to be able to just go down a checklist.
Well, and we have actually what we call the grab and go list and stuff, and so it has a spot for the item, where it's at, and the quantity of them. So for us, we don't keep our emergency backpacks in our house. We keep them in our storage unit, and it's here. It's just down the driveway, but I can go, hey, I have 7 backpacks I need to grab. They're in our storage unit, and then I know exactly what I need. It's got a check marks beside it. So as you're going down the list, you can grab it. You could group it by these items are in my house, these items are in my shop, these items are in my car already. And then you know where it's at. So when you get that ready status on an alert system, you can start gathering things then. Don't wait until you've got the go status and you're in panic mode. Get it now, have it in your car, and so be it. If you don't ever have to leave your house, unload your car later. It's not going to
Hmm.
hurt you, but it's going to hurt you when you wait to the last minute to load your car.
Yeah. So, I mean, this binder, like how do we get our hands on it and how do we learn how to use it?
So we've got the binder up on our website. Um, you'll have a link to that, but you can buy it in both a digital format where you can print it at home. So if you don't want to wait for the binder to arrive to you, you can get the digital to print at home, or you can get the physical copy. And we do it as it is a real 3-ring binder with sheet protectors and all. So it's designed to be used. Like you can pull the pages out, you can write on them, put them back in, and that you can order through the website as well, and we'll get it shipped out.
And the other thing is because it's customizable, every family is different. Like you said, you've got 8 people in your family. You need 8 checklists for each person's 72-hour kit. So we also have when you buy the binder, you also can get the expansion pack on that so that you have all the printable pages, or say my kids grow, my little one doesn't need pull-ups anymore. I make a new list as she grows, and that's no longer on the list. So I can just print off a new one, and it's good to go for the future.
That's so smart. Does the binder have like how to put together my list?
It does. It has step by section instructions. So, like if I'm going through for the 72-hour list, it gives detailed lists and it gives examples of what should be in there and what you should gather. Or if you're looking at like for the radio communication side, it talks about what different types of radios are out there that you can use when the cell towers are down, and then gives you spaces to write down, okay, these are the local channels, or this is my neighbor's number to call, or things like that, so that that information isn't, well, it's only in my head. It's written down, but you're taught, okay, this is how to use it, this is where to get the license from, and these are the different groups to talk.
Nice. So, and then you guys are now starting to teach in-person classes on how to use this, like the one at Gather and Grow, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And you're gonna, and we can, so a lot of people know that the Homestead Education, we go to Modern Homesteaders. You guys are gonna be there this year as well.
We will. We'll be back there this year.
That's great. So are you guys going to have those there where people can get their hands on them?
We will have the binders there, and people can pick them up. We're happy to talk with anyone, spend time. We're not doing a class at the Modern Homestead this year. Maybe next year we'll see. But we will definitely be happy to go over things and help people put things together so that they're all prepared, especially for families, because there's so many families that are just at risk of, they don't know what to do. And if you're closer to a city or anything, there's no time to figure that out. The shelves emptied in a matter of days during COVID versus if you're already prepared, you at least have a leg up.
Yeah, and that is so key. Well, we're kind of wrapping up to the end of our time, but my favorite question to ask everybody, and you can answer it together or separately, is what does keep growing mean to you?
It's just keep learning. I mean, I didn't end up graduating college, but I have shelves worth of books and stuff. I learned natural medicine, I learned healing, just different survival skills and stuff. And we both are interested in that. We love homesteading, um, raising animals, gardening, and everything that you do, just keep growing to just keep gaining knowledge.
The only thing you get to take with you is the knowledge you gain. So you can't take the stuff, but you can always take the knowledge. So I would rather keep learning and learn new things.
That is so well said. So, thank you so much for coming on today, guys. I know we talked about your website, but do you want to let everyone know where they can find you?
Yeah, so you can visit us at rustichomesteadliving.com, and the store's right there on the homepage. And we've got different email things you can sign up for as well. We've got kind of like a blueprint for starting your preparedness cycle and things like that right there on the homepage.
That's great. So I'll make sure I link all this in the show notes and link your binder. And I'm just excited to see, where this goes because it's so needed and having it in such a convenient way is just wonderful.
It is. It is definitely a need for the world.
All right. Well, thank you guys, and everybody go check them out. If this episode helped you think differently about food, education, or responsibility, make sure you're following the show. Listen all the way to the end each week, and don't forget to leave a review. Agricultural education matters, and it belongs in homes and communities, not just institutions. I'm Cody Hanner, and this is the Homestead Education. Keep growing.